What is good? This is gonna be about transcending as an alien species on Earth. Because humans, as in these bodies, you are an alien. You're an alien to an animal. You're an alien to an insect. You're an alien to lots of sentient life. So, with great power comes great responsibility. And when you abuse your power, and you use it for evil purposes, such as exploitation and predation, and parasitic, lower animalistic natures, you can't transcend beyond your karma that you're pushing out. So you're gonna have to ultimately change, and this is what it comes down to. It's the reason why you're in a body of a higher consciousness. Because it took higher consciousness. It took strength to through scientifically evolution to become something that can embody higher truths. So you have these higher chakras. So you have you know different mechanisms in your mental capacities where other sentient creatures like animals and insects and things lower don't have that capability, but they have it to a small degree. It's just not activated, and it's not activated because the lack of love that exists within this planet. So ultimately, evolving as a species, evolving as an alien species, because that's what you are. Humankind is an alien species, but you don't see yourselves that way, because when you see other extraterrestrials from other worlds come here with their spaceships, you begin to think, hey, one day we'll get there. So, we must be the lesser because they got there first. So, you're thinking in a spectrum of essentially lack of love, which most of those consciousnesses that you see that way, you know, not all of them embody that as well. Not all of them embody love. And some of them embody the same kind of principles and attributes of competition, competing in for resources and domination of the universe. And there's nothing wrong with those things inherently, but with great power comes great responsibility, and you should always have a logical reasoning for everything you do. So why would you want to do something like that? Maybe you want to dominate and have power over the universe, or because this is a wide kind of uh, you know, a yearning, a desire, I guess I would say, of the collective, mind, which is basically in unification what we all kind of put together, because that's what God is. It is the collective. It is all of us put together. It's like, if you take all of the different suns and the stars of the different, galaxies and such, and you put all those different stars, suns together, fireballs, plasmas, and you begin to realize that they're all embodying these truths. But beyond the manifested version of them, which is extreme, so it's on essentially the polarity of what love is. That's why when you transcend fear, you get to love, but then you have to transcend love as well and balance. So that's where you can really be uh, you know uh, unified. Non with non-dualistic, you can begin to balance and actually learn about yourself and others outside of yourself, including lower sentient life forms with beating hearts, and how they manifested, and why they're having that experiential phase, rather, of their incarnation or reincarnation. However, it may be playing out, but you know because the thirst for knowledge is also ultimately the thirst for freedom. And when you know certain things, you can abuse those things, so you can't get to the next phase of it. You're ultimately like, you're descending almost. You're like going down and down and down and lower. So when when you want to ascend to the next level, beat that level and get to the next level, it's not really a game. It can be a linear thing, but it's really not. It goes, um, it it's. I feel like it's like so in balance where it may not be, it may not be just linear, but it also is. So when you see planets, they're spherical, so they're circle. That's why they call it the circle of life. But when you draw the number one, without the curvature going downwards at that angle, but you could as well. So I can basically give you a little quick diagram just so you get what I'm trying to show you. So you have a line, right? And you have a line going that way at an angle. So that makes you think, okay, well, what's that? And then you could, the connectivities. So you have like a A almost. And then you could build like bridges, So it's kind of like that, You could ultimately get to the same kind of conclusions. Drawing sacred geometry. So and then when you curve, when you make that curvature, you could say that's like the aura or the energy of the entire geometrical formation of this straight pathway, which could be logic or reason, and the energy that it emanates, the effect of that, and it extends beyond outwardly to, in a sense, is the intuition, the energy. So that's why it's it's as within so without, type thing. So hold on 1 second. So, as a species, when you're stuck in that one level of fear, you can't get to love. But when you're stuck in love, you can't get to omniscience or unification. The balance between both dualities and the unification of them ultimately. So fear would be like, you believe you have to survive and you have to be strong, so you're gonna prey on the weak, what you believe to be the weak, which would be lower sentient life forms, such as yourself. But what you don't realize is that they are you. You're preying on yourself. You're ultimately, because you don't have this. You have a limited awareness and consciousness, so you don't see another animal as yourself. You don't see a pig, a cow, all of these other lower sentient life, or even a bug. Just squash a bug and not even care because you're like, oh, it scares you, right? Because you're living in fear. But once you transcend that, then you realize that these things aren't even you. They're programmings of the world that you were born into. So if it's not your fault, you don't have to beat yourself over it. Where some people, your sickness is deep, so ultimately you have this self-hate to yourself, and you believe you can never change, and even if you did, you would have to atone for your karmic weight and repent, and really just be in this look at yourself as a sinful, dirty, and then religion comes into play. That's part of the programming, conditioning, so it's all of the programming and conditioning that makes you hate yourself. So you see lust as a sin. You don't see it as love making. You don't see it as love. You don't see it as attraction, something healthy. But you hate it. You hate yourself. So you actually fall into it. You fall into your lower animalistic natures. You see how that works? When you hate, when you fear, you actually make it worse. you actually, because you don't see it as yourself. You don't love it. You don't love yourself, right? You hate yourself, so you fall into it. And even an alien consciousness such as yourself will tell me, that you're talking to yourself. I'm talking to myself right now. I'm talking to you, my viewers, and whoever wants to learn, grow and transcend as awareness and consciousness as a species, and as a planet, and as a universe, and even, because when you start getting that far, because people are already trying to dominate and control and overpower the planet, few people, and it's growing. Those numbers are growing as well. But extraterrestrials from other worlds are coming in. That's what's going on. If you didn't know, wake up and smell the flowers and make some tea out of it. You know what I mean? Start doing your healing work so you can actually have a higher connectivity, and receive informations that you ultimately are basically giving to yourself. So if you write a song, if you're creative, whatever you do, you're creative. You're creative. You're doing what God does. You are God. We are all God. That's what I meant when I said the collective is what God is. That's what God is. It's all of us put together. What else would God be? It's nothing else. So when you see a part of yourself, this part I'm gonna address to the vegans. If you're vegan and you hate non-vegans, understand that you once was in those shoes. You once wasn't vegan. You once was praying on. So it's about a consciousness awareness thing. It's about a higher mental faculty and reasoning. So in order to defeat evil and to ultimately alchemize it and make evil no longer evil, you have to give them the healing that they need in order to transcend and go through what they need to go through karmically to come on the other side of this equation, which is love. And then they can realize what they did. They can realize all of the actions they did, the cruel, wicked, evil things they did, and why ultimately, the karmic debt, what they owe, and what what they've done to another sentient life force and creature. You could say God or whatever, or the higher realms or heavens, that may be, allowed those things to happen. And maybe you're right. So I'm going to entertain you for a quick second and say maybe you're right? Maybe that is the truth. Maybe those, whoever the victim is in that situation, was a spirit once upon a time that ultimately didn't evolve and didn't grow and didn't have the higher dimensional capacities of love to give, to ultimately expand the conscious and awareness of what God is, which is what we all are, because that's what we all are. We're all different awarenesses and consciousnesses playing out the same thing. What reality, existence, and consciousness and awareness. There's different degrees, so understanding that will help you, especially vegans, to understand that, okay, you're gonna have to transcend love as well, because you have love for animals, but do you know the reason why hate and fear was there? What's the reasoning for it? It's, what's the purpose for what purpose does that serve? Because it wouldn't be in existence. It's not an accident. It's not just there, by coincidence, and just because, oh, it's an evil universe and it's chaos. No, it is there for a reason, right? So the cold, cruel darkness, right, is there for a reason. So that will allow you to transcend to this phase and that will help people in that, and sentient consciousnesses and awarenesses in that area to do the same thing. So so that way, when you grow, you can help you grow only when you help everyone grow. So if everyone grows into love, automatically the world is vegan. Automatically, there's no reason to eat a creature that has a beating heart like you and harm it, because you could argue and say all of these things, that plants are living and sentient, but even if that was the truth, because it might plausibly be, science only goes so far as what we can, perceive and see, and through the senses and experiment through with. So really, it's a materialistic approach, and it definitely needs the other half of the equation. That's why transcendence is there. Transcendence allows you to see both sides of the equation and transcend both, right? So, now you have your head attached attached to your body. People don't realize, their brains are circuitry, and if it's wired in the programming and conditioning of the matrix, ultimately you're being thrown every which way. You don't have a consciousness of your own, an awareness of your own. You're not God. You're separate from what you call God, that would be, which is basically all of us put together. But you're playing out God still in that lower octave of reality. It's just you don't realize that there's way more to God. You play out this small version of God and you fall into it. That fear, that hate, right? You fall into it. But when you realize what love is, you can transcend into that. You can do your karma and work through that and get to the next level. And that next level allows you to actually be, one second. In connection, it's all about connection, connectivity. Are you connected to the consciousness and awarenesses of what you're doing, your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, everything you are, your body parts, so because it's something to be grateful for, this higher experience. And you could argue and say, no, it's nothing to be grateful for. I did this through evolution. I'm a predator. It's kill or be killed. It's survival of the fittest. It takes strength to be evil and cruel and wicked. Because clearly I'm stronger than these creatures beneath me. So I have the right, and might makes right. So to exercise my power over these individuals, and me taking their lives ultimately is bringing them to my level. If anything, I'm making them better. But what you don't realize is that that's not the type of consciousness that's gonna attribute to overall growth, because I'm receiving messages, right, through myself, because I am my higher self. I am you. We're all the same, and we're all God, and we're all the animals too, and the other sentient creatures. But when you say that, hey, plants are living, and I don't want to eat. I eat plants anyways. But what you're saying is that what's living and made of the atoms in which your body reacts to and perceives in a higher order, you're knocking that whole reality down to where you're at. And it doesn't work, because your reality is you basically separating yourself from others. So that's where selfishness and narcissism comes in. Because when you see only yourself, and you don't, and most importantly, when you don't develop self-awareness, see how it is? It's the duality, right? It's like you only see yourself, and then you don't have any self-awareness. So having no self-awareness is the worst of the worst. And then once you get beyond that, then you have to see, okay, so there's others outside of myself. There's bugs, there's animals, there's people, there's other alien races. It's just humans. But again, some are way more advanced, but they're advanced in love. There's lots of alien races that are advanced in love, and they're way more superior to what you would think and believe to be superior by your means, because some of the aliens people look up to and worship, even in these governments and in these sacred agencies and stuff, they're the type of aliens where they're motivated and moved by domination and ill will, and basically overpowering and control, and whoever if they do evil to do that, they do evil to do that, but they got the power, so it's essentially like you don't realize that you can have those same things without getting it in that way. And if you get it in that way, you're ultimately gonna have to serve through those karmas that you're at that layer. You're in the reality of karma. But people who have transcended that, they're not even in that. Like we don't. It's not even a karmic thing. Like, So understand what's going on. So with love, it's ultimately like, oh, we're all connected. So I don't have to be hard on you because I don't want you to suffer ultimately. So I'm not going to be hard on myself and allow myself to suffer. That's self-love, that's self-care, that's self-awareness, that's self-respect. So you can bring that awareness and consciousness into those lower areas and allow people there to transcend their karma, because you don't live in that reality of karma. They're governed by karma. You're governed by, or essentially, service. That's where this, but people get lost in the service. They get lost in the servitude. So you can't really do as much as you could do when you transcend that as well. So that's the overall truth. It's the overall growth and evolution of the species. So it's an ongoing thing. It's happening right now while I'm making this video, even, because what do you do when you don't have a purpose? A lot of people have purposeless. They want to way out. They want to way out of the hell reality in the world they live in. So you have to fight for a bigger cause. You have to stand for the things that actually matter, which is like things of love. So, and then once you do that, which is basically understanding what veganism is, that's what it is. You can actually serve, and then when you can serve, when you can help others, including sentient creatures with beating hearts like yourself, you're gonna it's gonna allow you to know more, to transcend love as well, because you see it as this evolutionary game or something, and it's not that. So you can't even get to love. You're over here. You can't even get to love. So how are you trying to transcend love? Like, when, obviously, so this is what this video is for. I'm ending it right here. Yeah, that's what love is. It's total empowerment. And you have all of the same things, the demons that have all those powers down there that you worship and you look up to. We still have all of those things. You may not know about it because you don't see it, through the senses, and you're not getting that gratification because it's someone else's creation, right? But that someone is still you. So, development of yourself and your consciousness and awareness is knowing that, hey, you're in all places and all times, omniscience. So you're in that room with that person doing this thing, that activity, whatever, while not being there physically through the senses and material. So it's understanding what you are. It's understanding what your kundalini and chakras and all this stuff is. It's not something to be manipulated as a tool to get ahead, and do harm to others as much as you can. Because yes, others beneath you are still others. They're still others, right? So when you exercise your power and dominion over them in a negative way, what you're doing is you're creating that to yourself. You're harming yourself in a negative way because you don't see the connection. You don't see that there's no separation. You don't see the union. You don't see that if I punch you in the face, I'm hitting myself, and like the law of karma that you're governed by is going to come back to you. And then you get stronger in that. So you're like a top player opponent or something, and going head to head with different foes, and now you have all this status and respect and everything, and status quo, you're known for something, and then the things you're creating in life are very prominent as well. So you begin to have the ego developed, and what you don't realize is that ego is going to be shattered. You're going to be left with nothing but your spirit and your soul, and your next life might not be that. Your next life could be, oh, so you had it that good? Okay, so now you're about to experience what someone who didn't have any of those opportunities or things is going to experience. You may be a person, but you might be an animal. You don't know. You really don't know. And then we'll talk about it more and discuss these things in other videos, because this is an active development as well of not only my own consciousness, because this is your consciousness as well. This is your awareness, and then other people that are more advanced will tell you that the same thing, so yes, so we're all connected. This is all unification thing. You're that animal right now in that slaughterhouse getting killed. So if you don't do anything about it, you're just letting it happen. That's blood on your hands. You should always seek to bring love to wherever you are. You should always be in love. You should in love with yourself, enough to have self-compassion, self-love, to know that, hey, I wouldn't want to harm myself or put myself in a dangerous situation, because I care about myself. I love myself. Most importantly, it's not about fear. It's about being fearless, so that you can bring love into these other places and areas, but with love, because love is inside. Love is to yourself. You are whatever is outside of you. So when you give it to yourself, you can give it to others, right? Exactly. That's how that works, pretty much. So if you can't give love to others, it's because you can't give love to yourself. If you can't give peace to yourself, you can't give peace to others, so you believe you have to kill and harm other sentient creatures to survive and live and be strong. And then now you have ego developed because you made certain things, or you did something, or you got certain recognition or attention or validation from the world and people and praise and whatever, and then your own work, it is that, you're still the higher consciousness, and you have that consciousness and awareness for a reason. But if you don't change from that, what's going to happen is you're lost in duality. You're lost in the winning. So now you're about to be a loser. It might not be in this life, but in the next one, or even to some degree, it's going to play out in these, to remind you, letting you know, hey, wake up, change, but so you'll see it, everything anyone else does, you're gonna do the same thing. Just know that, like, it's already written, like, it's already like a part of your DNA, your everything. So that's self-love, and understanding that, hey, I'm looking up to certain people, and I like these songs or whatever, or these movies, and this work and these books, and damn, that's those inventions and those technologies. I wish I could be like that. I wish I could make that. You can and you will, but your work might be bigger than what you know. So you see yourself as so small or untalented or unskilled or uneducated or whatever it might be, right? Ungifted maybe, and the gods or whatever, you weren't one of those lucky stars. But that's far from the truth. Your work might be to actually restore love again, which is veganism, because if you love yourself, why would you grab a knife and do something so fearful and hateful? If you're loving and peaceful, why would you do something so horrible, right? Because you don't need to. So it doesn't even make sense when you think about it, right? Because you have to have these higher chakras and awarenesses to be in love. That's what happens when love is there. You can heal yourself. You begin to heal yourself. Your higher octaves of reality and consciousness and awareness begin to activate. It begins to mold, and you begin to work with yourself. You figure things out for yourself. You start to be like, okay, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should do that. Why not? And then you eventually do it, and you're like, wow, I really did that. And you have more self-respect for yourself, and then more self-love, and it just builds on itself. So understand that you're connected. So you right now, doing whatever you're doing, wherever you are, you're someone suffering. You're someone winning. and you know, whatever, you know. So when you see that you're everyone and everything, that's what God is. You know, it's what we are. You know, you can then, all right. That's why when you separate God and a goddess and all of these things, that's why you have to transcend God too, right? But let's talk about this in another video, because then I have to get in the nature of duality and then different dualities, because you know, you talk about God and goddess, you're talking about a higher duality, right? So that's almost a different type of duality than duality I previously explained, which is light and darkness, good and evil. So, okay, so are you saying that the goddess is evil and the God is, like I said, everything has a purpose to it, right? Everything serves a purpose. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why evil exists, predation exists. So ultimately, to remind you to always grow and, you know, transcend and develop your consciousness and awareness and help, right? Because if you don't care and you let these evils happen, because let's say they are spirits and souls that deserve to be in a slaughterhouse. Those animals probably deserve to get killed. And in the higher heavens, or God allowed that to happen because their spirit maybe once was in a human body and wouldn't change and help and ascend and evolve their consciousness to create a better, you know, outcome for creatures beneath it, you know, quote unquote beneath it, right? But just so you get the point, you just let that happen. You just didn't stand up for it or speak up for it or anything, like, you know. So this is where love comes in. You begin to unify. You bring everyone together, so everyone who wants peace and love, they can reside in that. You know, they're protected in the, you know, quote unquote the herd. You know, so that's where the transcendence comes in. It's like, okay, yeah, that's love consciousness, awareness consciousness. And then when you transcend that, you're no longer prey. You're no longer prey to the predators, because that's the surface of consciousness that you know serves, is to remind you that there's a way more to God, and you're not growing there. You're not doing that. You're just staying there stagnant, you know. And ultimately, if you have to be forced to out of your body or transcend or however into more experiences and awarenesses of God in a horrible way, then you will. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? You can take on that responsibility and say, oh, now that I know that these things can happen not only to others but to me, oh, now I have a sense of respect for it and understanding, where I could say, no, I choose to empower myself and say, I'm going to help not only the people in love, I'm going to help the people in fear get to here, and I'm going to help the people in love get to here. And once I get there, and you know, that's what it's all about. And that's what this video is for. I just taught myself a whole lot, you know. So just by simply saying, hey, I'm gonna make another video because it feels important to me that I gotta do something about the state of the world and why I'm here, my purpose here. Why am I here, you know? For no reason, just to be a sacrificial lamb or a massacre of some sort. No, neither of that, you know. So yeah, I'm here to definitely do something about everything, you know. So that's empowerment, you know. You know, that's you talking to yourself and saying that you believe in yourself, that you see that obviously you're not here for no reason. Like, why are you in a body like this? Like, why are you whatever body you're in? Or why are you, you know, you question everything, and you begin to solemnly start developing. I don't even know what solemnly means, but to my vortex, it kind of means like solemnly, like you know, like intimately, almost like to yourself, like, you know, you're close to yourself, so you, like, you know yourself almost. It's kind of like that. That's how I understand the word to be. But like right after I end this, like, I'm about to go look up the word, because that's how I am. I developed that, you know, I developed liking certain to the more consciousness and awareness. I used to not, right? I used to not be vegan either. So I now I enjoy developing consciousness and awareness. I enjoy growing and transcending and becoming more, and then seeing myself in the mirror and saying, wow, and then helping others do the same thing, because it is an ongoing journey. It is a documentation, and it is a, hey, we're all unified. We're doing this together. Let's do it. Like, you know. So yeah, just because you have money, power, prestige, status quo, whatever, that don't make you no better than someone who don't have those things. But um, you know, however you exercise that power, you know, that's how you're exercising power to yourself. So eventually, you're gonna not have that power. You're gonna be put in an opposite, you know, because you're playing it out, and all you see is, oh, you have money, power, prestige, ego, 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 and then when you lose all that shatters and explodes, and now Big Bang, you know, now you're living a life. You're born as someone who doesn't have those things. Like, oh, now I understand, you know, um, what's happening, and you might be gifted to experience a sort of like, oh, it's actually not that bad, you know. So that's like grace almost from the heavens, or God, you, if you may, which is all of what we all are, you know, in love, right? And then beyond that, obviously. But I'm just saying that for the people that need to get to love first. You can't, you know, be in love when you're not vegan. So you gotta understand what love is, you know, how to give love to yourself. You don't have to kill yourself, you know. So it's not even a, you know, oh, if I don't make it, I gotta kill myself. You know, it's not even that type of thing. Like, that's basically killing yourself, essentially. So yeah, I'm gonna end it right there. There's lots more to get into, and I want to get into those things too in future videos. Um, but yeah, you can absolutely make those songs, and it's not even about a can anymore, you know, not even an ability. Like, you're doing it. You're just gonna take those little steps, and it's gonna be like, you're gonna enjoy it. It's not gonna be like, oh, it's miserable, I don't like doing it, and you're in your old habits of things. And no, you're gradually gonna grow out of it, you know. It's not even something to, like, try to do or get to. It's not even like that, you see. Like, it's actually enjoyable. It can be a good experience. But once you transcend, you know, the good experience of it, right? For the people, for the vegans, for the people in love, then you can realize, oh, there's way more to it, you know. And then that's how, you know, you'll keep the balance. You'll understand both sides to it. You'll understand the evil and the good. You'll understand how to keep it centered, and why both exist and are necessary for you to come back to yourself. Consciousness, awareness, God, right? So that way you can. So we'll get into it. But I hope this helped. Peace. Love you. Love yourself.